finally get to see what's going on in the mind of that cheating heifer Laura in this episode of American Gods, Git Gone. Oh, get gone. Get gone. Get go. Why was I'm sorry. I was not able to find a lot of information about Laura because in the book, a lot of her storyline is intertwined into Shadow Moon. Like, her perspective is based all off of Shadow Moon, so you don't really get an in-depth Laura. So this character is basically expounded upon in the series. So there wasn't like any backstories, there wasn't any research, there wasn't like any old god rhetoric. So we have collectively have no idea who Laura is to Shadow Moon in the aspect of this series, this TV series. So we feel like why do I keep on saying we? Well, I'm talking about us. Anyway, like, we feel like the writers. Now, so I think with this character, she's just going to do a lot of huge things and have a much bigger part in the series than she does in the book, because I'm telling you guys, I looked, and y'all know I take about a good 2 days to research this show before I do this video, and I couldn't find anything extra. So this character is really up to the writer's room of this show and what they want to do with it. But from the interviews that I read with Neil and Brian, she's huge. Like, her part is really, really huge and really, really interesting, and we get a lot of her than we do in the book. Laura is basically an alabaster Salim. She's working a miserable job, living in a miserable town. She's working in like this Egyptian-themed casino, and we get a shot of her like dealing these Anubis-themed cards. So that's like tying her into this like story of, you know, the afterlife. But it's really weird because Laura doesn't believe in anything. She grew up really, really religious, but she doesn't really have beliefs in anything, I guess, because of her upbringing. I feel like she is the viewpoint of an like religious Christian kind of person who has been through a lot of ridiculousness in the church, and probably has been so turned off by it, just doesn't believe in anything. That's what I kind of got from her perspective, because even she gives this monologue to Shadow Moon where she's talking just about like her grandmother. There's a lot of grandmother imparting beliefs into their grandkids. And I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing, but I just noticed like a pattern, like with Homegirl who died in New York City and Anubis came to get her. Her grandmother taught her the ways of the old country, which is Egypt. So he was doing her a favor by taking her over to the other side. And then Laura has this whole monologue where she says to Shadow Moon about how like her grandmother had like all these beliefs. And I'm just like, wow, I liked how we skipped the parents and focused on how interesting and important the position of grandparent is to children, because you don't realize how much of your grandparents resonate in you. Like, I didn't realize how much like my grandmother I was until she passed. And I didn't like, I grew up with her, but I didn't grow up in the home with her, and we went to visit her and things of that nature. But I just did not realize how much of my life she was a part of until I lost her, and how much of the things that she instilled in me that stuck like as a child. Like, so many things now that I'm doing as an adult, and I'm like, my grandmother taught me that. So that's really, I like that. I like the fact that that this show focused on that, because grandparents are really, really important, especially grandmothers, man. They drop little gems into like the grandkids, and you don't realize how much culture and information they're imparting into you until you're a lot older. So those things don't really come to fruition until you're older. So I just really noticed that, and I was like, that's really true. Really, really true, how the matriarch of the community or the family is really powerful and influential. Anyway, she's just really, really miserable. She cannot stand her job. Everything is a routine, and you'll notice throughout the scene that Laura just doesn't like routine. And I totally understand. I'm right there with you. If I get into a routine with anything, even if it's something I love, I instantly start to hate it. So I totally understand that. But she's just dying from this mundane life and this routine, and I guess yearning for something more, but nothing is really able to satisfy her. So after work, she clocks out one day and she goes home and she tries to commit suicide, but I guess she doesn't have the follow through to end it. And that's very important. If you guys have already seen the episode, it's really important to look at that Laura's life is so miserable that she tries to commit suicide unsuccessfully. And it's not that she could not have. is that I personally feel like she knows that there's something more in life, and I feel like she didn't commit to suicide because just maybe that there's this hope that there's something coming that could be better than this, that maybe death is not better than this mundane life. I don't know, but anyway, she doesn't go through with the suicide, and she goes back to her everyday, mundane, depressing life. One day on her job, she meets Shadow Moon, who's trying to like hustle her. He's doing like some coin trick with the tokens that you get. I hope it's called tokens. I don't gamble. With the tokens that you get when you're dealing or getting money from, I don't know how it works, but I know you get like tokens and they're supposed to be money and you put them down. Anyway, he tries to like trick her, but she catches him, and before he can follow through with it, she's just like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. There's security here. But like, she just gives him all the eyes that are on him. So she's just like, don't even do it, just walk away and I'll act like nothing happened, like it's not worth it or whatever. So he listens to her and then he leaves. And while she's walking to her car, he stops her and he's just like, why did you help me? And she's just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But she's, there's like this instant attraction from Shadow Moon, and then Laura's just like, why not? You know what I mean? Because like Shadow Moon asked her, he's just like, do you want to go to get something to eat? Do you want to get like drinks? She's just like, dude, I want to go home. And he's like, then take me home. And so they go home, and like Shadow Moon is like, this, I don't know, because this is the thing, right, guys? I've been reading a lot of things about Laura and the fan reactions that they don't like her. And I get it. Laura is unlikable, but there's something about her that I really, really like. I like the fact that she doesn't settle. And like she does settle, but if she's not satisfied with something, she speaks up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's like this strongness in her that I like, that you really don't see a lot in female characters on TV. I feel like a lot of times the female characters are written in a way where it's just like the strength that's written for these characters are written to make a statement. That's what it is. Laura's strength to me, and her defiance of certain things, or not being okay with certain things and wanting to change certain things, or just like, this isn't good, I want to do this. I just feel like it's real. You know what I mean? It's not like she's supposed to be the voice for how powerful women are supposed to be. She's just like, no, I don't want to do this, so moving on. And I said that to say, because like Shadow Moon is trying to be like really sensual with her when they're, I thought I put my shirt on backwards. Oh no. Thought I felt the tag. Anyway, Shadow Moon is being really sensual with her, and when they're about to have sex, and she stops and she looks at him and she's just like, and then she smacks him, and Shadow Moon's shocked, like, what are you doing? Then she smacks him again, and he's like, oh, I get it, this is what you want. So he flips her around and he blows her little cakes to smithereens. Yeah! So the next day, Laura goes back to work like hella confident. I mean, who wouldn't be? This big brown man and just did everything with me. Every freaking hope, desire, and dream. He just had his way. Yes, Laura. I really liked seeing early Shadow Moon. I like that his character was a bit boyish in a kind of way. And I like seeing that transition, because this like ex-con like character of Shadow Moon that we see now is so much different than this like really innocent, not innocent, I don't know, I just felt like he had like this boyish kind of charm, and just being really happy to be with Laura, trying to change his life around, and just, I don't know, like a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Shadow Moon than the jaded, I've been in a prison system, I don't know what's going on, darker kind of Shadow Moon. I liked seeing this transition of a character, and it really speaks to the direction into Ricky Whittle, because you can clearly see a difference in Shadow Moon from the earlier times with him and Laura, like right before he went to prison to him being out. There's a clear difference, and that was really, really good, so I enjoyed seeing that. Dane Cook is just playing Dane Cook. There's like no difference from anything else that he's ever played. I'm like, my dream. Can I just get a job just playing me in like huge like blockbuster TV shows? I'd be absolutely okay with that. With Shadow Moon, Laura has like a little prick of joy. You know what I mean? Like there's there's a difference now. Like her life isn't so routine. There's this guy that has come into her life that has not been there before, and there's like some type of spark, some type of fun going on, and but then it falls back into a routine, and her and Shadow Moon end up getting married. And if you notice through watching this, you see her like perk up just a little bit, but then we get to the wedding, and she's just like, you know what I mean? Like this is, we're back to doing the same routine, and then you just see like a montage of their life, or Laura's life, just going back to what it used to be. You see her going to work, you see her leaving, and Shadow Moon is laying on the couch trying to better himself and be a better man. But for her, it's just like, I'm stuck here, I'm still here. I had this guy that I thought would probably change my situation, and nope, he just moved in with me, and I'm still working this same old job. So you see her go back to being depressed. You see her go back to, you know, I don't know if she's attempted suicide again, but it's kind of alluded to, because Shadow Moon goes to the store. He's like, do you need anything? And she's like, no. And then she's like, you know what, get me some bug spray. So I don't know if she had been attempting suicide or trying to work her way up to do that again throughout their relationship, but it is a call back to her, the first time she tried to commit suicide before she met Shadow Moon. So that was really, really sad, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I thought that it was going to get better for her when she met with Shadow Moon. And so to see her go from the girl who tried to commit suicide in her hot tub to meeting Shadow Moon, and I'm thinking that it'll be a much better life for her, to her going back to, you know what, get me the bug spray. You know, to her just going back to suicide is probably a better way than this life. It's just, it's really, really sad. So I kind of felt for her in a lot of ways, and I didn't dislike her a lot throughout this. There are things about her to dislike, but you just seriously see somebody who is dying daily, like a young person dying daily. It's pretty much small town life. No shade to anybody living in small towns, but I kind of understand. I'm from Philly. It's a huge city, but I understand the routine and getting bored with just seeing the same old thing, and not knowing, being stuck and not knowing how to get out of a situation. So I guess I felt for her in that aspect, because I totally understand what that is. I've been there. Thankfully, I was able to get out, but man, I understood what Laura was going through. Out of her depression of just, you know, mundane life, she devises a plan to rob the casino that she works at. And she's talking to Shadow Moon, and Shadow Moon is just like very innocent, like, no, I can never do that. And she's like, don't worry, I have a foolproof plan. Nothing is going to go wrong. Just follow everything. And then you cut to another scene of her visiting Shadow Moon in prison, and she's just like, the plan was foolproof. What happened? Or whatever. Shadow Moon got busted, and this is where we see him now on his way in jail, you know, about to be gone from her for about 3 years or so. So that's basically where all of this is starting. Like Laura's transition into, you know, being the heifer with the penis stuck in her mouth at death is starting to transition. But I have a question for you guys, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I kind of thought that when Laura was talking to Shadow Moon, I think I saw this, when she was talking to Shadow Moon about taking half of his time or something, she was just like, I could tell them that I helped you with this, and I could do the time, and Shadow Moon was just like, no, don't do it. But did you guys notice? I felt like Laura wanted to go to jail, and not like in the sense of, I feel bad for my husband who followed my plan, who got caught and is going to jail. I felt like she wanted to do it because it was a change of scenery. It was something different, something new for her. Did you guys notice that? Because I was just like, Laura seems really okay with taking some of the heat off of Shadow Moon and doing unnecessary time. Like, she wasn't caught. They never thought or suspected her for this casino gig, for this casino hit. So I don't understand why you would just volunteer, you know, to take some of the heat off of your partner if clearly you showed no interest in them. So it was really weird to me. I was just like, I think Laura wanted to do it to just get out of whatever situation that she was in. And that says something about her life. This is why I call her the Alabaster Celine, because jail or prison was looking like a good choice for her outside her living in the free world, but living in the free world, living free in the world, but living in this mundane, routine, depressive life. Prison is better than this. Death is better than this. That's what I thought. Let me know if you thought that too, or if you saw something else in there. But I kept on rewinding that scene because I was just like, I think she wants to go to prison, gentlemen. Like, I think she wants to like do the time with you and not for you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she just wants to get out of this town. She doesn't want to, like, you know, take time off of you. She could care less, but she really wants to get free of this free prison that she's already in, this prison of a life that she's already in. And that's another thing about Laura that I wanted to talk about. Where I don't think that she's a bad person, I think that she's very selfish. That's the thing. She's very selfish, and she's just an unfulfilled, selfish person. And that's why she continues to do the things that she does, because there's just whatever hole she's trying to fill, she can't fill it. So she does these things. She manipulates people, and not in a bad way, because I don't feel like it's coming from a bad place. I don't think she has a bad heart. I just think that she is someone who is, maybe this could tie back into her religious beliefs, because I feel like maybe she's somebody searching for a purpose or a meaning in life. And I can only speak from my own experience. She grew up very religious with like all of these ideas or whatever, right? And I'm kind of feeling like because she got older and she realized that a lot of that stuff is BS, or have come to find out in her journey, it's left her empty, because everything that she believed in, she just, at some point, she just figured out that it just wasn't the truth, or that it was perverted in some kind of way. And I don't know, because in my own journey, I grew up very religious as well. And then I just got older and, you know, wiser. And I remember feeling very unfulfilled for a very, very long time, and somewhat destructive, you know, because everything that I believed in, or to a certain extent, was found out to be a lie or perverted by man in some kind of way. And I remember being in that place. Wow. I remember being in that place before I moved to LA. Oh my gosh, am I Laura? The Shadow Moon is locked away in prison for about 3 years or so. We get this whole montage of scenes of Laura waiting for him and going back to just being miserable and just, you know, sad life. And then one day you finally get some emotion from Laura, because she comes home and she sees that her cat, who she calls Dummy and never showed like really any kind of emotion to, any strong emotion to, has died. And then you just see her have like kind of a little breakdown, and Dane Cook, who plays Audrey, her best friend's husband, comes over and he buries the cat for her. And while he buries her cat in her backyard, he buries his penis in her vagina. And I was just like, this happened really fast. And even though Laura was going through emotionally over her cat, like, her and Dane like start to make out, and then like she makes him go down on her, and she's not affected by it. Like, she's just not, her life is, her and Celine, man, they are, you think that Laura will have something with the djinn? You know, I feel like this, I don't know what's going on with this character, but I'm interested. I'm so interested in her journey, because there's so much about her that I can relate to a certain extent. And there's the fact that she's just this kind of a new character, that not new, but like more of her is going to be new to everybody, not just the ones who have read the book, the ones who are watching it as well. Like, it's just, I don't know where she's going to go, but she is so similar to Celine to me, and I'm very interested to see how her journey is going to play out. Why is Dane Cook like laying on the bed with his legs spread open, like kicking his feet up, pussy wide open? You know what? There's also a dominance dynamic here, and Laura is clearly in this affair that her and I'm sorry, I'm going to call him Dane Cook because I did not catch his name. Laura is clearly the dominant, the masculine energy of this relationship, because she just pulls Dane Cook's character around just like a little puppy dog. She just treats him like another pet. Now we're caught up to episode 1 from Laura's perspective. So, because we get that phone call that Shadow Moon was having with Laura about him coming home, we get that from Laura's perspective, and basically she's talking to him, but she's talking to him with another dude in their marital bed, and she's talking about getting the stuff for his welcome back party. And then we get this whole blowjob scene because her and Dane Cook are in the car going to, I guess, to get party supplies. And while they're in this car, Dane Cook confesses his love for her, and she's just like, sweetie, you knew what this was. Like, my husband is on his way home. I'm waiting, you know, we knew that this was going to end. You know that I've been waiting for him. I've just been doing you while I'm waiting for him. And he's like, he's like, but I love you. You don't love Shadow Moon. And she's just like, and I'm like, damn, Laura. She's just like, okay, but he's coming home, and this is who I'm going to be with. We were doing this while he was away, but he's on his way back. So anyway, and then like out of nowhere, she decides to like give him a blowjob, and like while in the midst of giving him a blowjob while he's driving, she says, I like this song, whatever song was playing. She was like, I like this song, sing it to me. And she just continues to go down. And I guess she was so good, he lost focus, and they ended up dying on the side of the road. Since we're talking about songs, I looked up the song that was playing, and basically is Laura's theme song for, I guess, the entire series. And her theme song, the title of the song is called Queen of the Bored. So that really expresses, it's a really good song. It really expresses the inner core of Laura. She's just a bored, miserable person trying to find like some fulfillment, but there's just nothing in there. Anyway, Laura passes on to the other side. She meets with Anubis, who is dressed in black. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? Okay. He tries to weigh her heart or whatever, and she's just like, he tries to get it, and she's just like, don't even touch it. I know how I live my life, good and bad, and I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't no way that that feather is going to be heavier than my heart. And the Anubis is just like, okay, well, let's send you into the darkness or whatever. And she's like, what? Wait, you gotta explain to me what's going on. Like, what am I doing here? He's like, you believed in nothing, so you're going to nothingness. You don't have any beliefs, so there's nowhere for you to go. There's no heaven, no hell, nothing. You believed in nothing. And then Anubis is getting frustrated because he's just like, I don't give this much talk to somebody who I'm taking over to the other side. So let's go. And he like turns around, and her nothingness, where she's going, her darkness is the hot tub and the Git Gone that she used to try to commit suicide the first time, and probably many times after that. So I guess that's where she's going, to that one place, and I guess she's probably going to live there repetitive. I don't know if she's going into purgatory. I don't know, but I know that Anubis calls it the darkness, and because she believed in nothing, she's going to like a dark nothingness, which is, send me to hell, okay? If I can't get into heaven, send me to hell. Don't send me to nothingness, please. But in saying that, I think that maybe that is Laura's hell. You know, just spending an eternity doing nothing, especially when you're the queen of the board. So that is, I guess, a hell for Laura. Well, anyway, they start to get into a little back and forth, and then out of nowhere, she's plucked from the afterlife, and you see her crawling out of the grave. So I think this whole conversation is happening while Shadow Moon and Audrey are having their thing, and then, you know, Shadow Moon flicks the coin down, and it falls in to her grave. And having said that, I don't know where the coin is. Like, we don't see where Mad Sweeney's lucky coin is. We don't see it on any parts of her body. We don't know if it's inside of her. We don't know if it passed through her. So we don't know where the coin is, but because of that coin, Laura is alive now. So throughout the episode, now that Laura is like alive again, we cut to these like exposed camera shots. I don't know what it's called, but it's like the way Laura sees the world is how film looks. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very like this exposed filter is how Laura sees the world. Like, she can't see color. She can only see this bright light. So when she gets out of the grave, she looks out and she sees like this bright light, and she's walking to it. And when she gets to the bright light, it's actually Shadow Moon. If you remember back when Shadow Moon was talking to baby Zariah, she says to him, you had the sun once and you gave it away or something, and now I'm giving you the moon. And I don't know how that plays in yet, but when Laura was looking at Shadow Moon, Shadow Moon looks like the sun to Laura. So I don't know what that means. But I feel like it has something to do with Shadow Moon once having the sun. So I don't know how that plays out, but when I saw how Laura saw Shadow Moon, I immediately thought of that scene. And I thought that Shadow Moon had, when he once had the sun, I thought that was him having the coin. So I don't Mad Sweetie's coin. So I don't know what that means, but I feel like there's some type of connection there, and I can't quite put it together because I can't find anything additional on Laura. So anyway, when Laura sees Shadow Moon hanging, she just goes ballistic, and she has like this superhuman strength now out of nowhere. She just starts ripping Technical Boy's goons to shreds. Like, one dude, she kicks his entire skull out of his body. This scene was epic. I honestly thought that another god, like I thought it was Chernabog that saved Shadow Moon or some other god. I had no idea that Shadow Moon was saved by Laura. So Shadow Moon drops down to the ground, and before he's able to see Laura, she takes off running. And while she was fighting for him and like ripping those goons apart, one of the goons hit her shoulder. And that was the dude, I think, whose skeletal remains she kicked out of his body. Whatever that crowbar hit that he did on her arm really messed her up, because while Laura is turning away from Shadow Moon so that he doesn't see her, her arm just falls off. So then we get this scene of Laura, like in broad daylight, walking back to her home, covered in blood, carrying her arm. We see the scene of Laura like sewing her arm back together. So she's like part zombie or with superhuman strength, I don't know, but she's just like a really, really strong zombie, but a crowbar hit severed her arm, which is very weird to me. I'm like, she kicked a dude's skeletal remains out of his body, but he hits her with a crowbar and her arm falls off. I don't know what, I don't know, that just didn't make any sense to me. But anyway, we get the scene of her sewing her arm unsuccessfully, and she starts getting these pains. Now, because Laura is a zombie, I'm like, is it hunger pains? Is she trying to get flesh or something like that? That's what I thought, but that wasn't it. So because she's not having much success with sewing her arm, she goes over next door to Audrey's crafting studio, and she's sewing her arm. And while she's sewing her arm, Audrey sees her. I get the name of the girl who plays Audrey, but she's a fantastic talent. Like, she just flips out. She's just like, Laura? And Laura's like, hey, while she's sewing her arm, she goes berserker. She's like, get away from me, you zombie whore! And she locks herself in the bathroom, and then Laura punches a hole through the door because she's really, really strong now, and Audrey is going crazy, and I'm like, oh my goodness, because again, Laura's a zombie. She's having these pains. I'm thinking that she's going to eat Audrey. Laura comes to the bathroom, and she's just like, listen, I know this is really weird, you seeing me and I'm dead and everything, but I need to use your bathroom. So she goes to the bathroom. She like, Audrey is cowering in the tub. Laura goes and uses her bathroom, and she just starts defecating embalming fluid. And she's just like, I'm so sorry, it's embalming fluid. It's coming out of everywhere. So that's where the pains were coming from. It wasn't like hunger pains because she needed to eat flesh. It was embalming fluid. So I thought that was a really fun twist, because I was just like, oh my gosh, she's going to eat Audrey. Anyway, the ladies have this really sweet scene where they're talking about just how terrible Laura was, and Audrey's talking to her or whatever, and Laura's just like, I'm really sorry. And Audrey has had enough of her, so she's just like, shut the hell up, I don't need your apology. And I don't know, I just really, really liked that scene, because I saw Audrey get her power back, and I felt like she needed she needed to have this moment to tell Laura how she really felt, because Laura and her husband both died, you know what I mean? So she never really got to say it to anybody. She said it to Shadow Moon, but it's not the same as saying it to the person who harmed her. So everything that she was feeling, she was able to get out. And then she explains how she buried her husband's penis that was found in Laura's mouth. She buried it, shoved up his behind, and she was just like, I realized that I become like an awful person. She was just like, I just realized how terrible I can be because of this whole situation. And she was like, this death or whatever, your deaths have just made me realize how vulgar and terrible that I can be, and I didn't know that I could get to that limit until now. Anyway, they don't squash it, but I feel like because Audrey was able to get that out, she found some sort of peace, and then we get this scene of her helping Laura sew her arm back on, and then Laura's just like, well, I know we're not in a good place, but I need your car. Audrey ends up giving her a ride, and then we get this really great scene of Laura, who is now, I feel like she's more alive now that she's dead. But she is trying to get to this light again, which is Shadow Moon. She's trying to get to the son. Laura's talking to Audrey about how she loved Shadow Moon, and Audrey's like, you never loved him. That's what you, Shadow Moon was nothing more than like a pet to you. That's why you called him Puppy. Now, I thought that she was calling him Poppy. You know what I mean? Because I thought that maybe Laura was Puerto Rican. I don't know. But I was hearing Poppy, not Puppy, so it made sense to me. She was just like, he loves you, but you don't love him like he loved you. He was nothing more than a pet to you. That's why you call him Puppy. And then Laura's just like, well, now, I love him now. And I think she says he's the light of my life. And then you cut to this light, which is Shadow Moon. So I guess Laura is trying to find him or get to him, because now she has like this love and longing for him. And I don't know if it's the coin that's in her that's making her, had this kind of affection towards Shadow Moon, the son. I don't know. I'm telling you, there's something in there. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's some kind of connection there. Anyway, while they're driving to Shadow Moon, Thought, who is Mr. Ibis, you can see him like walking a dog, and he like stops in the middle of the street, and Audrey stops her car, and all of a sudden the dog transformed into Anubis, and Anubis is just like, I've been looking for you. And then the next thing you see Laura being brought into Mr. Ibis, his funeral home that he's had for 200 years, and they're like dressing her, they're getting her together. And I actually thought when I saw Laura in the end of episode 3 that she had gotten that she had come back to life in a different way. I didn't think that she was still a zombie. I thought that the coin had like given her a new life again, like new life, but she's still pretty much a zombie. So when she looked all cleaned up or whatever, that's because Mr. Ibis, who had a funeral home, fixed her all the way up. He painted her skin. They sewed her body parts back together properly. And I don't know why they're doing it. I have no idea why they are making Laura pretty to go see Shadow Moon. I know it has something to do with the God War. I don't know what side they are on. I mean, they're old gods, so I guess they're on Odin's side. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but I do know that when Anubis was putting on her lipstick or whatever, he looks at Laura and he's just like, when we're done here, I'm going to take you back to the darkness. So I don't know what deal she made with them. I have no idea what's going on, but they fix her up, and then the next thing you know, we see her sitting on the bed, and we see Shadow Moon, who is the light of her life, and you literally see him like lighting up, and he walks into the room, and he just looks like he's stuck in the center of the sun, and she looks at him and she's like, hey puppy. And then we go back to where episode 3 ended. So this was a really good scene. It was a lot of information about Laura. I still have so many questions. Where does this superhuman strength come from? What I feel like the flies mean something more, because throughout this scene there are like flies, and I don't know, I felt like it was a foreshadowing for Laura being a zombie, because you see like a lot of flies, and she's putting up like fly traps or whatever, because her body is decomposing. Flies are attracted to her rotting flesh. But before she died, there was this fly, this persistent fly, and then we had this bug spray that she used the Git Gone that she used to kill herself. So I don't know, guys. I don't know what that means. I feel like that fly means something more than just foreshadowing of Zombie Laura. So I feel like there's something more there that I'm missing, and I couldn't find anything on the flies. I did find one thing where it was said that flies were known to be the eyes of the gods. That could be it, or it could be something more. I don't know, because this character is being expounded upon. So it could be something that we'll never know until the writers reveal it to us. So I don't know, but I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this episode. I really like Laura. I think she's a complicated character. She's much more than the cheating heifer that we learned about in like 1 through 3. She's a dynamic, complicated character, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her, and just what position does she play in this entire God War. Even throughout this scene, before she meets with Shadow Moon, you see this Raven, who of course is the eyes for Odin. So he knew, or Mr. Wednesday, he knew that this was going to happen. So I don't know. Oh, there's so much going on. Like, there's so many things, and I'm thinking, I feel like I can go this way or this way or this way. There's so many roads that I can go down, and I'm not complaining. I love it. I love that this show makes me think so hard. I love that it just takes me on so many journeys, and even when I feel like I'm down one road, I watch the show and I'm just like, it takes me down in a completely different one. So, you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comment section below. And if you like what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you next week. Next week. I'm mixing up all my words today. Anyway, I will see you next week for episode 5 of American Gods. And guys, what? We have 3 more episodes and it's over. What am I gonna do for what am I gonna do for the rest of the summer? Oh, man, I hope they start filming season 2 now and we get it like in the fall, because y'all gave us 8 episodes. I hope that when they come back, they give us at least 10 to 13 episodes like a real show would. Maybe because this was the pilot and stars didn't know how it was going to play out with fans, or, you know, just their regular viewing audience. So they was like, we'll give you 8 episodes and let's see if you can make it work. I hope that's what it is, and maybe we'll get more, because I am so upset that in 3 episodes this show was going to be done. Like, what? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.